Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to this session. So today we are looking at a career launcher prime cat 2022 para jumble session. So basically we are solving the entire VRC section of this prime cat this thing of last year. I got this PDFs from a Telegram this thing group or somewhere, and I just thought, why not let me design a session on it. So I will solve this particular para jumble, which is question number 17. I will solve it and then I will show you the answer also, not the answer but the solution. So I'll show you the solution which they have given, and then I'll at the same time I'm also giving you my insight. So without further ado, let's just get going. So let's just start with the session. So pretty easy thing in terms of understanding. The four sentences 1 2 3 4 given in this sequence, when properly sequenced, form a coherent passage. Now we know what a coherent passage is. Logical links are there is a logical way, or you can say there's a logical link through which the ideas are connected, or ideas are linked through logical ways, whichever way you want to call it. Okay, so that basically comprise of a coherent passage, or that is basically the coherence. You have to decide on the proper order of the sentence and then punch it in. This was a theta question. So let's go ahead and read the statement. So what I do is I practically read all the statements very fast, try to understand. I try to figure out the, you can say, the opening statement or a starter, as I like to call it. So I'm finding for a starter. So let's see if I can find a starter. It is similar to my experience of nostalgia or sympathy for a dying child or homesickness. Introspection is considering how something appears or feels to you. This basically seems like a starter, so I'll keep it for the time being. So 2 as my starter. Okay, let me just darken the color a little bit. So yeah, so this sort of is my starter. Then it says, however, this is not peculiar to romantic love in my experience. This is not peculiar to romantic love. So there has to be some statement before 3 that described 3. So we have to understand that. So romantic love, I can see very clearly that there are romantic love 1 and 2. So even before reading this fourth line, so let's read it any which ways. In my case, looking at feelings of romantic love yielded, among other things, what I think is a seldom remarked on physiological factor, namely a sort of ache in the lower throat or upper chest. Basically, now I've understood the idea. So the idea is that we start off with introspection. We try to understand what introspection is, and then straight away if you go to option number 4, and how am I so straight in going to from statement 2 to statement 4? If you just consider this line, introspection is considering how something appears or feels to you. In my case, looking at feelings of romantic love. So introspection is considering, in my case, looking at feelings of romantic love. So with that in my mind, I can definitely say that 4 has to follow 2. And just now I said that 3 has to follow something. Now please don't be hasty enough to say ki sir ab to pattern yahi hoga 2 4 3 1. And obviously if you would be a little precise in your understanding, you will realize that yes, this is the order, this is the true order. But then don't be hasty enough to say that I will, just because recently I said, or just now I said 3 has to follow something, I'll just stick it after 4. You have to check once again that whether 1 qualifies as a concluding statement or not. Sometimes 1 may not do that thing, right? So introspection is considering how something appears or feels to you. In my case, looking at feeling of romantic love, seldom with this thing. So number 2, exactly what number 2 does. Number 2 is talking about introspection. What does number 4? So I am just considering the ideas. Number 4, what number 4 says? Yes, number 4 is romantic love yielded, among other things, what I called the physiological factor, the ache in the lower chest and all that. So this is something However, this is not peculiar to romantic love. So the lower chest pain and all that is not peculiar to only romantic love. It is similar to my experience of nostalgia or sympathy for dying child or homesickness. So basically, if you look into it, 4 follows 2, 3 follows 4, and 1 follows 3. In other words, if you just pay attention and if you just realize that the ideas are logically following each other. So we are not very much concerned about what a starter is, what a concluding statement is. We're just looking at the ideas. Okay, so 2 introduced the introspection word. 4 talked about romantic love and how romantic love has a physiological factor to it, that is, some sort of a pain in the lower throat. Then number 3 said, I'm just reiterating myself, number 3 said that this is not peculiar, it is not something that happens only with romantic love. So where exactly can I say are other places where it happens? The other places is the feeling of experience of the nostalgia, sympathy for a dying child, and so on and so forth. So this is how my brain works. Now let's go and see the what the solution is. Okay, so I hope you can see this. Okay, I'll just keep quiet for a while and I'll give you some time to read. So you should pause the video and try this out. Okay, so I hope you paused and all. So what they're saying is, yeah, statement 2 is the opening statement. It's an introduction to the introspection word, looking inward. Statement 3 argues about the author's experience, and statement 1 builds on statement 3 and further describe how author's experiences has been. So basically what they're saying is they have worked on statement 2, and what they did is they just found a linkage. So they found a linkage 3 and 1. Now if you have found the starter, if you found a linkage, obviously 4 has to be either in this place or in this place. All you need to check is whether 4 qualifies as a concluding statement. If you read 4th one, in my case, looking at the feeling of love yielded among other things, if you realize after 1, 4 just doesn't make any sense because it logically does not follow. So 4 has to be between 2 and 3 1. So this has to be the order. So obviously, I mean, whichever way suits you. Mine is definitely because I am somebody who believes in the idea that you should always pay attention more towards comprehension, so I use a comprehension way. But linkage formation is also something that you can eventually develop. So the solution, if you are comfortable with the solution, you can pick that up. If you are comfortable with my process, you can pick that up as well. With that being said, that is it. Thank you very much.